Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dinner time is here. That's right, we're talking about Season 3, Episode 11 of Hannibal on Dish by Dish. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. Your old pal Patrick Hamilton coming to you once again from the Baltimore Institute for the Criminally Insane. This is Dish by Dish, an extension of Kill by Kill, where we watch an episode of Hannibal and we talk about it. And of course, if this is the first episode that you're listening to today, we're actually releasing 2 at the same time to make way for our fantastic fall lineup. So this is episode 11 and the Beast from the Sea. So make sure you listen to episode 10 first. And of course, before we do anything else, there's only one person I trust to divert a serial killer as he invades my home, the one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Well, I hope that I can do that. I mean, I would certainly
we all hope.
Do my very best to
Yes.
protect you and your lovely family.
Thank you. Someone's going to have to take one for the team, and so we're going to throw you out there and see what happens. This episode of Hannibal, and this is kind of weird, and it might be a bit of a through line, and maybe we can talk about it more as we go, but was this section of the season stretched too long, or did they not come up with enough things to do? Because in a very rare case, I think, for Hannibal, this feels a bit like, dare I say, filler.
Oh, it absolutely is. The only really, I hate to use the word exciting because the show doesn't have to be exciting. And I would even dare to say that this half of the season, until the very end, of course, isn't terribly exciting. It's mostly some very long, intense philosophical conversations, occasionally punctuated with the usual outrageous acts of violence. But even those are a little bit limited because it's only one person committing them again until the end until the final episode. But you have, and then the one exciting thing is changed from in the book from something that actually happens at the end of the story.
Right. Yeah. So at the end of Red Dragon, of course, Hannibal has managed to communicate with Francis and send him Will's address. And it's a home invasion thriller from that point where he's protecting his own family. Here, Will's already been separated from his family. So what we have are his wife Molly and his son who have to fend for themselves. And you're right, it is the most exciting sequence in this episode, and probably designed to be that. And I think it's one of the more thrilling suspense sequences in this half of the season. It's a real standout. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'll take that over the alternative. That being said, it's such a sterling sequence that it casts a light. It shows the rest of the episode in relief, where we're getting a lot of regurgitated information from the books and movie adaptations of Red Dragon that, I don't know, they have to be there to a certain extent, but they don't feel as immediate or necessary dramatically. They have to be there for a plot. I don't know that they just, I don't know. It's a weird one. This might be a careful what you wish for kind of situation when it comes to adapting something that has already been adapted twice.
Yeah, and to jump ahead to the next episode, which sort of feels like it puts elements from just about every adaptation into a blender, with the sequence with Chilton and Francis. There's a little bit of everything, but it kind of works, and it's almost to the point where it's almost disorienting. I'll explain more what I mean by that in the next episode, but here it's just like, it's like, well, we were contracted to do, what was it, like 6 episodes devoted to the Red Dragon story? Like 6 or 7, it's like, well, we're kind of running out of story here. So let's stretch it out a little bit, which is interesting because you've managed to get an entire book and 2 movies out of the same storyline. Now, granted, in the second version with Anthony Hopkins, they definitely padded out. They padded it out with a lot of flashbacks that weren't really necessary, just to give more screen time to Hannibal Lecter. But they got a perfectly paced, hour and 40-minute long movie out of Manhunter. But that's the thing, you've got an hour and 40 minutes, and then you have 6 hours.
Yeah, and I think there's elements here that are well explored in terms of, like, there's a bunch of things you could never do in a movie that you can only do in this expanded version. And that is, like, demonstrate every single conflict that's at the core of the show at this point in time. Every character is in conflict with one another over a variety of things. And the only person who really isn't, weirdly enough, and probably by design, is Hannibal, because Dr. Lecter is not into conflict. He's into facilitation. He's a facilitator.
He's just sitting back and enjoying all of this. Like, he's enjoying how broken everyone is, and how all of these friendships have been destroyed, and how no one can trust anybody anymore, and how everyone's just sort of looking at each other suspiciously, and waiting for the knives to come out, possibly literally, when they say, I don't know if I can trust you, you may stab me in the back, they fucking mean it.
Yes. And he's in a rarefied air. He's almost in a protected position by being incarcerated. And I think that's the ultimate gamesmanship sort of ideal of Hannibal, that he foresaw that at some point they would need to come to him because there was something that was just so crazy, so out of control, that he would be the only one who would be able to facilitate a solution to it, and that he would be able to manipulate everyone into some sort of situation that might gain him purchase one way or the other, whether that's privilege, whether that's an escape opportunity, whether that's the chance to get his hands around somebody's throat, or send somebody else to do his dirty work for him. These are all things he's capable of if only given the opportunity. So, like, that is an intriguing concept and possibility. That's something you can only do when you have 6 episodes to talk this out. That being said, it weirdly sort of backs people up into background roles. For example, Jack is someone who barely appears in the back 6 episodes of this show. He is really sidelined. And to a degree in Red Dragon, he's a guy who in that novel, in those movie adaptations, is floating in and out of it. But again, that's a guy I just met in a movie. Here, he's a character I've watched for 2.5 years.
Right, but again, like, none of these people want to be around each other for good reason. They it's like, I gave you a job to do, you're going to do it. We're not friends anymore. It's, but my problem is, and also, I think it's very weird that Molly she's shot, right? Or she had no car accident. She's injured in some way.
She was shot through the shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah. Will's like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, well, you got it. I signed up. I knew what I was getting into when I signed up for this. And then she just gone. She doesn't die, but we literally never hear from her again for the rest. That's it. That's all we see of Molly for the rest of the season. She might as well have died.
Yeah. The child might as well have died.
Right. He does not, nobody asks about her. Like, Hannibal's the only one that asks how she's doing.
And that's to stick a knife in. Again, he's the one now sticking a knife into the butt cheek of a pig to see its fat level. Like, he's now probing for people to see what their vulnerabilities are and what they're really made of. But everyone else, the good parts are, like, all of a sudden Jack feels like he's picked up enough tricks from Hannibal to like try some manipulations of his own. And so in the aftermath of Francis, making a meal out of a priceless painting, Jack wants to find a way to push the dragon into doing something stupid. And Will responds after like, well, what kind of, what do you want to push him to do? Expose himself, put himself in a vulnerable spot, or commit suicide. And Will's like, yeah, suicide works for me. Like, whoa, dude, a lot's changed in a couple of years for you, my man. He's become a callous motherfucker.
Yeah, everybody is ice cold this season. Like, they're just like, I've got to do what I've got to do. And if people die, people die. That's life for you.
Right.
I just feel like one of my issues with this half of the season, and I do like it. I think, controversially, I do think it's the weakest run of the series.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're on conversation 6 now. Will basically like, smugly telling, Alana or Jack or Bedelia, well, you're no better than me. You did this too.
Right.
It's like, Will, we know, Will, no one is saying that you're the bad guy here. Everybody is the bad guy here. Everybody has hurt someone. Almost everybody has killed someone. I think everybody has killed someone at this point. By this point,
everyone here is now a murderer. Hannibal has pushed every single person into a murder they might not have otherwise committed, or at least taken a life. Like, it is understandable in that's a can of worms. But the whole idea that they're FBI agents and they're hunting down serial killers, and they might be confronted in a situation where they're going to have to choose between, being killed and killing, that they're going to shoot and whatnot. That being said, there's plenty of extraneous murder that's been added to their docket. Their ledger is dripping, as it were.
Yeah,
when it comes to that.
Cynthia Nixon's character was right, man.
She was.
She was absolutely right to be concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the wonderful thing about Hannibal as a whole is it gives opportunity to comment on itself, because you have the space to do that. It's in conversation with its own mythos. And you can't do that in a movie, maybe in a movie series, but again, you need continuation to make that happen. And Hannibal has that opportunity. But it also exposes some narrative weaknesses when it comes to certain characters. And when every single character then becomes kind of Bedelia level ice cold because they've just seen and heard and done too much, you're kind of left to wonder, well, what humanity am I finding here necessarily? And I think the missing opportunity, particularly in this episode, that would have benefited greatly would be to finally fucking see with our own eyes more of Francis's backstory.
Right. But here, like, sort of the beacon of humanity in this run is probably Reba, who,
yes.
is a warm woman who, genuinely seems to care about Francis, which is, puzzling, but, whomst among us hasn't, had feelings for someone who, may be in questionable, may in questioning our taste in people. But,
right, yeah.
I think she's probably, the type of person who, many of us have been there, who sees somebody that she perceives as broken, and that, which she's right, but more broken than she realizes, that she could heal through her kindness and gentleness.
Right. He gives her something that she is looking for, which is interaction without pity, right, or I need to help you. He doesn't offer that at all. So there are absolute things that he is doing, perhaps not even consciously, that attract her to him outside of the fact that he's a stone cold hottie who's got a yoga body with a butt that doesn't quit. Those are all positives.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
And
you could probably like, get an idea what his butt looks like just by feeling it, I mean.
sure. Oh yeah. I mean, give us the opportunity, everyone. Let's start feeling the cast of Hannibal's butts and just see what we can figure out. That's what Patreon money is for, everyone.
I mean, God bless the costume designer that basically decided, let's put him in boxer briefs.
Listen, we need a very streamlined look, because when it comes to nude scenes, their solution to the fact that they really can't show him nude is to erase his butt crack, which is hilarious. Because I think that one of the lingering questions I have from the previous episode to now is, now that he's swallowed that painting, how do you think his digestive tract is dealing with that kind of meal? Because I can't imagine it'd feel good going all the way round. Yeah,
I don't think he's shit in like a week.
No, and it's kind of hard to do those transitions from warrior pose into other things with a full canister downstairs like that. I feel like that would be harder and harder to do.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's taken yoga knows about the heartbreak of yoga farts. So
yes, no, it's compressing a lot of things. You're working a lot of muscles, and it just ultimately things are gonna get let go. But usually, you're not in that position, having swallowed a priceless work of art. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and this is probably that painting. That painting had lead in it, so he's probably gonna die anyway.
Oh. Yeah, no, yeah, his time is limited. That's 100% true. And another, his big conflict at this moment in time is that the Red Dragon would very much like to kill Reba, and he is not so keen on the idea. And so we got a lot of back and forth of him like debating, how am I going to deal with this? What am I going to do about it? And ultimately it's like, you're gonna like trap her and set a place on fire. That's the other thing that comes with knowing Red Dragon, is you have some inkling of what's coming up. I think the joys that you get in this half of season 3 is that it keeps diverting what you think's going to have happen.
Well, yeah, that's true. Like and again, I keep jumping ahead to the next episode. I thought because a similar thing had happened early in an earlier season that I wasn't going to get that again, and I did get it again. I was very happy.
Yeah. Let's get quickly to the sort of meat of this episode, which is Hannibal's advice to Francis, and that is, listen, if you don't want to kill Reba, you don't have to give her to the dragon. Give the dragon someone else. Perhaps, I don't know, my ex-murder husband's new family. And he gets the address to him. It's just like, if you need the murder, like, here's 2 perfectly easy to kill people that you can make that happen. They're even a family. Look, it fits within your MO. Like, make it happen.
One thing that I do miss greatly from Manhunter, and obviously given when this takes place because it's in the present and not 1986, right. I fucking love how he figures out where Francis Ward Dollarhide is. With the video, figuring out how he picks the families and all. Yeah. I think that scene is so well done and so clever. And here I don't even know how do they figure out that it's him?
They kind of don't. Like, Francis Dollarhide pretty much exposes who he is, but they never connect him to the photography element. They never connect him to the film transfer element of it.
Right, because that's how they figured out who the next family was going to be, because they figured out that he was like in a centralized location, because they kind of left that out. I feel it's to its detriment, and that they possibly could have figured out a way to make it more to modernize it. But if you folks, if you've not watched Manhunter, just watch this scene. It's so good. It is so good.
Well, I mean, you got a director who's so good at, how are we going to pull this off? And then he shows you how this, crazed killer is going to kill this guy inside of a nightclub, or how these bank robbers are going to rob this bank, like how this thief is going to break into this safe. Like, he knows how to do this kind of stuff. And boy, howdy, that's a hell of a sequence in that motion picture. And it works. But we've both reached a point in the in the story that so much has to happen because the end point is right in front of us, and yet we are often stuck in philosophical conversations between Will and Bedelia about which one of them is the bigger dupe to Hannibal, and they never come to an agreement which one it is, but they keep fucking having it. And far be it from me to go, hey, I need less Gillian Anderson in my my daily, media consumption diet. But honestly, when it comes to the story, I think I'd rather have some of these other elements that are more dramatically connected to the main plot that you chose to tell, which is Red Dragon, or find a way to do them in a way that I don't see coming. Those are all great solutions, but the Bedelia stuff, I feel like, just kind of weighs it down. And then you have this really cool sequence where Frances invades the house of Molly and her son, and it's really suspenseful. It's really well done. She gets shot through the shoulder. Apparently, a good third of her blood is located in her shoulder, which I was unaware of, but that's the way it seems. And then, as a result of like this not going well, Francis starts dancing with himself. And if I say dancing, I mean punching himself. He has a self fight like he's in Liar Liar.
I mean, we've all been there.
And so, Francis later admits to Reba that it's not you, it's me, but it really is him. It is not Reba. She should listen to this.
Yeah, I do like the classic, horror movie trope of, you have to leave or I'm going to hurt you, which is always, that's always a good and chilling line, regardless of the context.
And this is after Alana has figured out that after Hannibal's insanity plea, that his lawyer has not been calling him since. So someone else has been calling him. So they tried to work a deal where they take away all of his cool stuff.
And his toilet.
And his toilet.
Which I think that's actually a human rights violation.
Yeah, Alana. It is totes. But then again, what human rights court is going to come into where he's being contained and go, I don't know. There's a lot of nice, he doesn't have a toilet, but there's also a lot of nice, crown molding going on here.
He was also just allowed to make some sort of fancy chocolate orange dessert a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. He's making meals. And then he communicated with a serial killer, informing him where an FBI agent's family was, and they were attacked and almost killed. Well, all right.
So is he just like
the toilet thing's a bit much?
Is he just like shitting in the corner or something? Like how?
I'm assuming down the hole. I mean, they couldn't have plugged up the fucking hole, right?
I sort of feel like that Hannibal Lecter would have the mind control to just simply stop shitting. Just get himself into a state of mind where his bowels just shut down completely.
Right. Without a toilet, it just seems rude, so he won't.
Exactly. He'd rather just simply not have a bowel movement than crap on the floor.
But then we get that moment which has been forecast throughout the previous 2.5 seasons, where he's on the phone with a killer and goes, "Hey, the FBI know who you are. They're listening. And bye." And they're all surprised that he did it again. He does it every fucking time.
Yeah, everybody is still convinced that they're smarter than everybody else. And it's just, if you take away any kind of lesson from Hannibal, other than how to make a gourmet chocolate orange dessert, is never ever assume that you are smarter than someone else, because you might get most of your blood outside your body.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And of course, we end with Hannibal asking, "Don't you crave change, Will?" Yeah, he did change. That's what you don't like about him. Wait a second. Hold on. I know this is in reference to Francis becoming the dragon, but the whole crux of their conflict right now is Will went off to have a family and left him in an insane asylum, which, by the way, how the fuck was he supposed to change that? But the change has happened, man. You are inherently different people at a certain point, no matter how much the series keeps cramming you together because you're hot and sexy when you face one another.
And Hannibal's just doing that whole when you get drunk, you decide you're gonna text your eyes. Are you happy? I just want to make sure you're happy.
They are terrible exes. They're just
the worst.
Just terrible to one another and everyone around. It's toxic as shit. But we will pick this up at another time because we have to say adieu. Of course, Josh Hoff does all of our artwork. Revenge Body does all of our tunes. Go to revengebodymemphis.bandcamp.com to get this remix and all of our other remixes and our main themes as well. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about television and movies at thespool.net, and I am on Twitter under Gina Does Things.
Do it today. People, check it out. You can find us on all of the socials. You know where to do it. Rate and review us on iTunes. Follow us on Patreon and help us, do cool things like talk about, fun movies. And we're doing commentaries on all the Halloween movies right now. We're rounding it off here in September with Halloween Kills, a movie that displays Michael Myers' unique ability to kill multiple people at the same time, like he's in a video game, like it's a fucking Batman Arkham Asylum video game. Now, who's to say I won't suddenly like this movie like I suddenly liked Halloween 2018? Who's to say? Gina remains, it's fine. But who knows? Who knows what's around the corner? You're going to want to tune in to find out. But that does it for this week. Next week, regular Kill by Kill, we'll be talking about Psycho 2, which is a super fun episode and a great movie. If you have not watched Psycho 2, absolutely go out and do it. And then we will be back for another double header of Dish by Dish to close out not only the season, but maybe the series? Oh, who's to say? It's a topsy-turvy world. But for myself and for Gina, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.